Yo, what is the deal, everybody? What is the deal? Welcome to another Raider Nation Unlimited. I'm your man, Wasted Talent. Salute to everybody in the chat. Sorry for the little mix-up earlier. I gotta work this eCam thing out a little bit better, right? So, before I try to roll that thing out, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do members only lives till I get this thing all worked out. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to my guy Dave's on. Spivey's in the place. Solly's in the place, man. Oh my God. Manny's in the place to be. Anthony's in the place. Throwing the tomatoes. You effing bum. Thank you, Jamil Akbar. My brother. You know what I'm saying? These jokers in here talking all this crap. But listen, man. Let's get into it, right? Look, as I said on the other live that I have to delete, the Raiders made a few moves today. They brought in Jeff Driscoll, longtime backup quarterback. He is going to be on the practice squad. So to be honest with you, hearing a move like that kind of makes me feel like Cam Miller could be in a little trouble because, it is not normally like NFL teams to carry 4 quarterbacks to take up a practice squad spot. You only have so many of those, right? So, this is showing me for them bringing in Jeff Driscoll, it's one of two things. Either Kenny Pickett's hamstring is a little compromised, and they really don't necessarily know how bad it's going to be or whether he could be a backup for Geno. Hopefully, we won't have to see Kenny Pickett, right? But if we do, I think that the sentiment inside of the building is that they have somebody who has played in the NFL. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see. Aiden O'Connell, is also on the roster, but he's on injured reserve, so he really doesn't count right now. But they have 4 quarterbacks on his roster right now, right? So that goes to show me that they don't have a strong belief in Cam Miller. Any which way you slice it. Any which way you slice it. And also with a corresponding move, they brought in Brian Asamoah out of Oklahoma. You guys know, if you guys go back on the podcast years and years ago, and I said this a couple of minutes ago, Andy and I were really, really high on Brian Asamoah. Really, really high athletic profile, right? Really good young linebacker, you know what I mean, as far as from a talent perspective. He hasn't been able to quite connect the dots in the National Football League. He was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. He was brought into the practice squad of the Tennessee Titans. They waived him, and now he is with us. His PFF numbers are not great, right? Now, you guys know that we don't always go on PFF numbers, but let's go back, right? Let's go back and let's look at some of this guy's numbers, right? You know what I mean? Brian Asamoah really hasn't done a whole lot in the National Football League, if we're being honest, right? He's been in the National Football League for 3 years. He spent all 3 of them with the Minnesota Vikings, right? And look, his first year, he looked like he was a dog. Positive PFF grades, 78.8. Man, didn't really have. He had a pretty good coverage grade, 78.1. Run defense, 74.2. Had 121 tackles. He was looking like he was trending in a direction where he was going to be somebody that the Vikings were going to be able to kind of kind of depend on, right? And lately, a lot of these guys, man, they kind of get caught up in the mix, man. They get caught up in the mix when you change defensive coordinators, things of that nature, and then they kind of get jettisoned. And to be honest with you, I screwed up there. He hasn't had 121 tackles. I messed up. That's my fault. But he really hasn't done a whole lot in the National Football League. But he's definitely got that light coming out of college. The Raiders keep continually keep improving on this linebacker core. They keep improving on it. They keep bringing in young guys. I have no problem with it, right? The only problem I have with it is that Trey Taylor is no longer on the Raiders roster. Hopefully they bring him back. But Trey Taylor is a friend of the show. Love the kid. Hope he gets another shot. I really don't understand what's going on, because everything that I've seen is that, he's been present. He's been active. He kind of had a stretch of bad luck last year getting hurt. You know what I mean? And I feel like that kind of changed the trajectory of his career. But whether he winds up with us or not, I wish Trey the best, man. Wish him the best, man. Wish him the best. Shout out to the over 232 of you guys in the room. Get wasted with your brother wasted, man. Get wasted with your brother wasted, man. Let me get some shout out. Yo, the Raiders presser is coming up at the top of the hour. We're going to get into that when that pops up. We are going to get into that at the top of the hour, man. And guys, salute to everybody in chat. Thank you guys for coming back over, man. My guy Fly 808. We don't need no wildcat mess, brother. Keep it here going forward. How you been built your homies on YouTube? Yeah, nah. Listen, I appreciate it, man. But look, we got to keep trying to improve the platform, bro. We got to keep trying to improve the platform, man. Now, guys, listen. The Raiders also are going into a week where we playing our arch nemesis, New England Patriots, man. And I really want to break that down. But before we get into that, I want to talk about some of the moves that were made since I've been on the air. The Raiders claimed Tristan McCollum. Tristan McCollum is a second-year safety, and he spent his last 2 years with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a kid who kind of fits the athletic profile of Pete Carroll. Big, 6'3", 195-pound kid. He entered the league as an undrafted free agent with the Texans. He spent the entirety of the 2022 year with the Texans on their practice squad, and then he wound up with the Philadelphia Eagles. But listen, when you talk about, why he's here, the Raiders waived Thomas Harper and the corresponding move, and Thomas Harper signed on with the Detroit Lions, man. But listen, man, we got a lot of people in our front office from the Philadelphia Eagles, and they are doing things like bring guys in from their roster, man. You know what I mean? And hopefully it pays dividends, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to everybody in the chat. But yo, they're really trying to get some depth, man. They're really trying to get some depth on his roster. And this is something that, a lot of us, when we start talking about the Raiders, when we start talking about going into this season's game, look, man, this is going to be a true litmus test, because for me, the Raiders are in a situation where they're playing another 4-13 team. The Raiders have been historically bad traveling east at 1 o'clock. But this is a new era. This is a new time. And listen, we are going to play the New England Patriots at 1 o'clock at Gillette Stadium. And look, man, Mike Vrabel is returning to the franchise. He made his bones with this franchise as a player, and now he's in charge of running this organization and trying to elevate his quarterback. Now, one of the reasons why the Patriot job was a very, very attractive job to a lot of people is because of Drake May. Now, Drake May looked like he was starting to come on in the middle of last season. Second-year kid with a lot of talent, man. Mike Vrabel and the gang are trying to build the offense around him. They've improved the offensive line a whole heck of a lot this year. You know what I'm saying? They brought in Morgan Moses. Their first-round pick, Will Campbell, was looked upon widely to be the best lineman in this draft. They picked him up. They have a new center. They outfitted him with a running game. Trayvon Henderson is a super, super talented young running back. You guys know I drafted him in almost all of my mock drafts. I'm a big fan of Trayvon Henderson. And they brought in wideout Stephon Diggs. So, they are much improved on the offensive side of the football. They also went out and got a new offensive coordinator, and his name is Josh McDaniels, a guy that you guys are all familiar with. Now, listen, we can say Josh McDaniels, Josh McDumbass, Josh McThis, Josh McThat, but what I will tell you is that Josh McDaniels is a hell of an offensive coordinator, right? The only thing with Josh McDaniels is that Josh McDaniels hasn't been the best when it comes to dealing with young quarterbacks. He hasn't been able to develop a quarterback since Tom Brady and after. So if that makes you guys feel any better. But the thing with Drake May, I am not looking for that to be our way out of this situation. Drake May is going to be a star in this league. And this is a game that the Raiders have to go in and they have to assert themselves. Now, when we start talking about the Patriot defense is going to be much improved, right? You know, the Patriots went out in free agency and brought in Milton Williams. Christian Barmore, who was a star defensive tackle, is back. He's healthy. It's the first game of the season. He was out and missed most of last season. And, you know, Christian Gonzalez is also in that secondary. There are some rumors today that Christian Gonzalez might not be playing for the New England Patriots. But I'm going to be honest with you. The New England Patriots, you know, either which way, right? They have a nice, you know, active, aggressive young defense, whether Christian Gonzalez plays or not. And to be honest with you, if I'm talking about, you know, the Raiders' luck, most of the time we're going to get to see a heaping help in the Christian Gonzalez. But this game is a huge, huge game. It's a huge game for the Raiders, man. This is another 4-13 team. When you look at the Raiders' season at large, right, we are going into a situation where most of these games, right, you know, because of where we were last season, most of these games on paper, it looks like we are going to be the underdog. Now, the Raiders are 3-point dogs in this game to the New England Patriots. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of that has a lot to do with the fact that we are playing and traveling east in a 1 o'clock game, right? That has always been the bane of the Raiders' existence. But hopefully Pete Carroll understands how to navigate that, right? And I know a lot of people don't think that this is a big deal, but it is a big deal, right? It's always a big deal when you are going into another time zone because the Raiders feel like when they're playing at 1 in the afternoon on the East Coast, their body clock has them playing really, really early in the morning, right? So hopefully Pete gets the team here a little early. You know what I mean? So, you know, there that is, man. There that is when you start talking about the New England Patriots. We're going to go into the New England Patriots a little bit more, but I want to get into our Raiders a bit. Now, the Raiders, you know, are starting the Pete Carroll era, right? Our wide receiver group is a group that's, you know, kind of emerging in work. You know, Amari Cooper is coming along. He looks a little promising. Some people said that he looked a little thick frame, but I think we will see Amari Cooper. You know what I'm saying? Dante Thornton Jr. will be featured in this offense, right? Geno Smith is going to be out there. And listen, when we start talking about Geno Smith indoor and outdoor is two different guys, right? Geno Smith indoor, and this is a great reason why I'm glad the Raiders signed him. Geno Smith is going to be elite indoors. He's like a top 5 quarterback in the league when he's indoors. But when you start talking about Geno Smith outdoors, it's a little bit different story, right? I'm going to get some more numbers for you guys a little later, but I'm loving the fact that this is a warm weather game. This is a game in Foxborough at Gillette at 1 o'clock. You know, this is a game that, you know, the weather should be nice. This should be a good game for Geno and the guys to kind of get going. Now, when we start talking about the Raiders, man, last year the Raiders were last in the league in rushing. We went out and addressed that in a real way. We went out and got the pick of the litter at running back, Ashton Jeanty. Hopefully, Ashton Jeanty can do what he did for Boise State. I mean, Boise State was absolutely horrendous. I don't know if you guys saw Boise State with pretty much the same team and minus Ashton Jeanty this weekend. But it was ugly. It was nasty, nasty work, man. Nasty work. And this is one of the reasons why, you know, I'm pretty high on the Raiders' chances of going and getting the dub, right? Good weather. We're not in the cold. This ain't December. You know what I'm saying? Let's try to get the season going in the right direction. We're as healthy as we're going to be. You know, you have Jordan Meredith. And I think Jordan Meredith, if we're being honest, is one of the big reasons why this team is going to move or why this team isn't. I think when you're talking about this offensive line has come together pretty good from what I can see. Jordan Meredith is the big question mark, and he's going to have a test going against Christian Barmore this week. He is going to have a hell of a test. This is one of the reasons why I was pro JPJ at center, because when you have these guys like Christian Barrymore who are star defensive tackles, man, they are a load to deal with. And then when you have a situation where you have an undersized center like Jordan Meredith in the middle of that offensive line, we do not need a jailbreak up the front, man. We do not need a jailbreak up the front, yo. Let me get to this super, yo. My guy David Walker's in a place to be with the $2 holler, man. Pete is 16-4 in 1 p.m. games. That is a fact, Dave. That's a fact. That is a fact. But the thing is, a lot of this stuff for me, Dave, I don't really like to play into, Pete's record in games, because that was his record with the Seattle Seahawks, right? That was his record with the New York Jets. That was his record with the New England Patriots. It's a whole nother ball of wax with the Raiders, right? So I need to see this thing in real time with him, man. Now, this is another great caveat and another reason why I feel like the Raiders, are going to give some wrinkles to the New England Patriots defense. Because listen, when we start talking about a guy that has been in college football, innovating in college football, a guy that's been innovating in the National Football League, we look none other than Chip Kelly. Now, Chip Kelly is a guy that has come back to the league. He has a myriad of talent. He has a quarterback and a trigger man that can execute the mission. And I think Chip Kelly is absolutely going to cook. I think he's going to give the Patriots and the rest of the National Football League a lot of things to think about and to deal with this week, man. A lot of things to deal with. Fly 805. Wishful thinking, but Jeff Saturday was also a UDFA undersized center. Yeah, but see, this is what you're looking at. You're looking at the best case scenario. When you start talking about guys in this league, people who have done phenomenal things, that's like when I draft a guy in the 6th round and everybody always brings up Tom Brady. That's the best case scenario. I don't like that logic. You know what I'm saying? Because we can talk about all the other UDFA undersized centers who didn't make it in this league. You can't give me that one outlier 805 and then think that I'm supposed to be comfortable with that. But salute to my guy 805, man. Yo, salute to my guy Rudy the Vet Russo, man. Time to sit back and observe, gentlemen. It's live fire this weekend. That's right, man. That's right, man. Jeffrey says, Wasted, you don't think Geno struggles outdoors was playing in Seattle in rainy conditions? Listen, I think that it's a lot of that. You know what I mean? Listen, the elements matter, bro. The elements matter. People say, good teams overcome that, but the elements matter. And this is one of the reasons why I feel like this is a great game for Geno Smith early in the season coming east. Shout out to my guys in the chat that brought this up, man. Thank God that we're getting the Patriots early in the season, man. Thank God, man. Thank God, man. My guy Aaron, I think Pete trusts Meredith more than he trusts JPJ. He always brings up Meredith first. He does because he understands that the media saw what we saw last year. Pete understands that the fan base saw what we saw last year. And Pete knows that this kid is a Remington Award winner. Pete knows that, bro. People think that he could be a generational talent at center. And I know the word generational gets thrown around way too much in today's sports media. Way too much. Way too much, man. Way too much. It kind of makes me upset how much they throw around the word generational. It really pisses me off, if I'm being honest, man. If I'm being honest, when they throw around the word generational, I cringe, man. You can't do that with guys who have never done a damn thing, right? You cannot do that, man. Now, listen. The Patriots are a team that's in flux. They are like us in a sense where the Patriots are still fiddling with their roster, but the Patriots are in a different situation than the Raiders are. Now, the Raiders, we pretty much, our offense is set. Right now, we're making moves with backup quarterbacks, backup linebackers, but our roster is pretty much set. Pete has not really given us, what he's going to do with the secondary. But to be honest with you, look, one of the main reasons why I was glad that Pete Carroll was hired as head coach is because of the level of experience, right? I'm going to trust in Pete. I see the Raiders going and fiddling around with a lot of different parts of this roster. See the Raiders going and signing people. I see the Raiders going out here and bringing linebackers in and backup QBs and all this other stuff. And they have not addressed the secondary, right? And it worries me. But if Pete's not worried, I'm not worried. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to trust in Pete. But if this thing goes ugly, we know that, we trusted in Pete, right? He's not the defensive coordinator, right? But he is the straw that stirs the drink in the Raiders office. I know John Spytek asserts himself as the GM, but this is a collaborative effort. And if they haven't made a move, because I am sure that we're not crazy. I am sure that we're not insane. I am sure of this. I am sure that everyone else can see that there's a now Pete has come out and spoke out about the secondary, how excited he is about these young guys and stuff. He says he's not afraid to play young guys. And I trust him because he's always had results doing that. He's always had results doing that. Salute to everybody in the chat. Get wasted with your brother wasted. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You know what's crazy? I am supposed to be going live in my family in my family fantasy draft, and I forgot that my family fantasy draft with some of my closest friends and family members and stuff. I forgot that the draft is tonight at 7, and I am on the air right now. But you know what's funny, guys? You know what I'm gonna do? I gotta see where they sent the email to, right? I got to see where they sent the email to, because if they sent the email to where I think, guys, we're going to do the fantasy draft live on the air if I can, right? We're going to do the fantasy draft live on the air. I got to find it, though. Let me find the fantasy draft. We're going to do the fantasy draft while I do the show, because that's how talented I am. That is how talented your man Wasted is, man. That is how, look, I gotta find it though first, guys. Give me a quick second, man. You guys are gonna help me draft too, man. I gotta find I gotta find the draft. You know what's funny, bro? If y'all help me draft my players and I win the league, everybody gonna say I cheated. Everybody's gonna say I cheated, bro. That's crazy. Hold on. Hey guys. Listen, I know I don't normally do stuff like this. We're normally super professional over here, right? Let me read this super. Shout out to my guy, Hug D's, man. We should all remember that Chip Kelly's offense is thriving versatility, play action, tight ends, and a dynamic runner. This offense is custom built to F-ish up under Chip. I am pumped up on that Raider juice. Shout out to my guy, Hug, man. Shout out to my guy, Hug, man. You know what I'm gonna do? Let me call the fam, yo. Let me call the fam, yo. So I can log in, yo. Hold on. Let me call the fam. I'm gonna log in. You moved to 7:30? Do me a favor. Send me the email again. All right, brother. Yeah, fantasy draft is at 7:30, yo. But yo, listen, we all are a little afraid. And let me get back to the show, guys. It's been a little choppy today, but I know you guys are cool, man. My guy S. Dot. The only problem I ain't worried about is McDaniels knows the weakness of our offensive line more than Pete and Spytek does. And that will cause a problem. I don't think so, bro. And S. Dot, I know you are the offensive line aficionado, bro. I know this. I get it. I understand it, right? But when you talk about weakness, right? They didn't draft Jackson Powers Johnson. They didn't draft DJ Glaze. Right? Colton Miller is a consummate pro. Has always been a pro. Right? And Dylan Parham is a guy that they like. And that is a different player now. I don't think that Josh McDaniels having some familiarity with a team that's been flipped 2 times over since he's been gone. You know, listen, Tom Telesco, we are 2 GMs away from when Josh McDaniels and David Ziegler were here. This ain't the same team, bro. It's not the same team, bro. And this is the thing, bro. I give Josh McDaniels some credit because you can't take away their resume, right? But what I can do is I can take away a lot of their validity because it hasn't looked good at all without Tom Brady. It hasn't. If we're being honest, it has not looked good at all since there's been no Tom Brady. This is a different scheme, different offensive line coach, different. Totally different, bro. So look, man, I have no fear about these guys, bro. I don't. Big Lil Bosco, my dog. Wishful thinking, but McDaniel's track record with diva wide receivers is not good. Remember the Randy Moss fail, and let's see how Diggs feels about not being a primary target. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't necessarily think that he's not going to be the primary target. I think he is. I know, they got Kendrick Bourne and all of these guys, but I think that when you start talking about, why they brought him in, you got to follow the money, bro. They brought Stephon Diggs in here for a reason, bro. They brought him in for a reason, bro. They brought him. I'm going to say it 3 times like Dr. Umar Johnson. They brought him in for a reason. That's scamming Joker right there. Yes, they brought him in for a reason, man. But look, man, like I told you before, man, this is going to be a big game with the Raiders. Now, the thing is, man, a key to the Raiders attacking this defense is whether or not Christian Gonzalez, their stud corner, is going to be out there on September the 1st, man. They say that, Christian Gonzalez is working hard. And I quote Mike Vrabel when he said it just hasn't gone. He goes, whether it's to say it's one injury is going to be 3 to 4 weeks or it's going to be 1 or 2, everybody heals differently, man. But Christian Gonzalez has been working to get ready. He has a hamstring injury. This has been something that's been a reoccurring thing in Christian Gonzalez's career. And he hasn't been on the field since July the 28th. It's September the 1st, man. He hasn't been practicing and gearing up. And I really don't think that he, listen, a lot of times we say this stuff, but you know what? And I said earlier in the show, man, this is just the Raiders' luck, right? That he'll play. But who knows how effective Christian Gonzalez will be. So keep an eye out on that, man. Keep an eye on that. But now, look, one of the things about this Patriot roster, and I was getting into this, man. The Patriots have had a lot of competition. We keep saying compete. But the Patriots have a lot of turnover on this team, man, in some really, really key spots. And I think it's something that we need to mention, right? Like now the Patriots decided on a kicker in the competition, and they moved on from their veteran kicker, Parker Romo, and they have a young guy, a rookie, Andy Baragales. A lot of times that does not normally work out well, man. That's something to keep an eye on. Also, the Patriots moving on from Jabril Peppers, man. Now, Peppers was a former team captain, bro. He was playing with the top unit throughout the whole offseason. Up until a couple of weeks ago, he slipped a little bit, and then the Patriots released him. And this guy had $4.3 million remaining guaranteed on his contract. So it's a little puzzling to me, man. Now, the Patriots kept 11 rookies on their roster, man. 9 draft picks, 2 undrafted free agents. They had a nice showing from some of these guys. It's a good sign for the team going forward, right? Because they've had a bunch of poor drafts going, in the last few years. But the Patriots are going to have a lot of young guys out there, man. A lot of young guys, man. A lot of young guys, man. Like the Patriots got rid of Cole Strange. former first-round pick, plagued with injuries, man. Plagued with injuries, man. They got him out of there, man, after his poor performance. But this is another starter that won't be playing, man. Another guy that they had playing. And it's just crazy to me, man. Like there's a lot going on. I mean, like, Keon White was demoted by Mike Vrabel. This is a former starting defensive end. I mean, they got a lot of question marks over there in New England, guys. A lot, man. Salute to everybody in chat. You guys talking about my I have the best fantasy drafts ever. The F up out of here, man. I remember you guys were talking about me taking Dante Thornton every time. How's that working out? Go back and look at some of the people that I take and look how they do in the NFL. Go back years and years and years. Listen, let me tell you something. Even when I'm wrong, I'm right. You bunch of effing bums. Especially Anthony and that bodega bum. And I'm going to be real with you guys. I don't mean to get derailed by the show here. But listen, I've been feeling good. Lately, man, I've been going through some stuff physically, mentally for the last few weeks. But, man, I'm starting to feel better. I'm trending back to myself now. And I'm going to tell you guys something, man. You will be getting that ass unceremoniously blocked if you keep talking that crap, Anthony.
What's the tutorial that says you know what the fuck you doing?
I mean, come on, Anthony. You effing bum. Thank you, Bronze Mouth. Blocked. Bodega wasted too. You will be going. Bodega wasted and Anthony will be going to the gulags lickety split. The F up out of here with y'all crap. It's football season. Anthony is Paul. He's Paulie G over here, man. It's football season. So, guys, look, man. I am ready. I am ready for this game, man. I'm ready. Now, the Raiders are going into this as 3.5-point dogs, man. But this is a game that we need to win. Now, let's key in on the Raiders a little bit, right? Now, the Raiders are in a situation where, we're going to see a heap and help in the Brock Bowers. Now, why this is significant, the Patriots have not been great covering tight ends. We got our guy Robert Spillane, who played way, way, way above his head in coverage last year, right? But if I'm going to be honest with you, Brock Bowers is going to lead this team. Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty are going to lead this team to victory. When you start talking about Spill is an emotional leader. He did great with the Raiders, but I don't necessarily know if the Patriots are going to get the same guy we had. I'm very, very curious. Very, very curious, man. Very curious, man. I really want to see Brock Bowers attack Robert Spillane. And Damian Weaver's right. 3-point dogs on the road is damn near even money. It's damn near even money, man. Mayer is also going to break out too. I think you are going to see a lot of 12 personnel. A lot of 12 personnel. Now, when you start talking about defensive rankings and stuff like that for 2024, it really doesn't have like the same legs because it's a new season, right? It's a new season, new coach, new everything, right? But they say past results can predict future outcomes, right? So when you start talking about the New England Patriots last year weren't very good. They were the 22nd ranked defense in the league. The Raiders were a top 15 unit, surprisingly, last year. And the Patriots really got worked last year, man. They got worked. They got worked, and they've gone out there and they brought in a lot of older guys, man. They brought in a lot of older guys. They brought in, Robert Spillane, Harold Landry III, man. Harold Landry III. Now, that is a significant move right there. Harold Landry is an undersized pass rusher, but a super effective pass rusher. He always has been, right? So Harold Landry is a guy you got to keep your eyes on, man. But, listen, The guy that I'm most concerned about in the middle of that Patriot defense is Christian Barmore. 100%. I am super concerned. Now, guys, the presser is on. We're gonna get the presser on for you guys. Get wasted with your brother wasted. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Salute to everybody in the chat. You guys know how we normally do it here, man. You know how we do. Licky 42 is up, guys. Licky 42 is up, guys. We're going to get the press conference up for you guys. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to everybody in the effing chat, man. We are going to get you guys rocking and rolling, man. Rocking and rolling, guys. Here we go. Boom.
Hearing that word veteran, for me, goes by quick. But
here we
at the
go.
same time, with that experience,
guys.
I feel, like I say, comfortable and ready rolling into week one, with the time missing.
Raiders got 11 defensive linemen. It looks like they want to build a kind of a rotation to come at people in waves. It's like you enjoy that, and when you look at that room, what kind of potential do you see?
The more the better, and especially
salute to everybody in the chat. Get wasted with your brother wasted. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Both sides of the ball, defense and offense, and I'm pretty sure they have a good game plan rolling into the season. So I'm all for it. I'm all in with that with our room going on with our guys in there.
You guys all good?
Good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
That was Leaky Folk 2. Our guy in the place to be. Leaky 4-2, man. Shout out to Leaky, man. Shout out to the Raiders too, man. Yeah, I'm loving these pressers, man. I'm loving these pressers, man. That's a Bay Area guy right there. Leaky 4-2, man. The big oos. But guys, man, listen, yo, I'm telling you, this is going to be a slobber knocker, man. Because that Raider defense up front has a lot to prove. If I can give you any predictions, this is going to be a Tyree special, man. It's going to be a Tyree Wilson special. Tyree at the 3 technique is going to feed families this year. Tyree at the 3 technique is going to feed families. Also, we got to look for our guy Malcolm Kuntz to get loose. Now, Morgan Moses has been a consummate pro. I want to see how Max does against the rookie, though. Got to see it. But if I'm being honest, man, listen, Tyree Wilson, this is a Tyree Wilson special. A Tyree Wilson effing special. He's got to get loose. Him and freaking Malcolm Kuntz have got to get loose. Listen, man, the over-under on how many people get unceremoniously blocked is at 150. That is the over and under, guys. Salute to everybody in the chat. Get wasted with your brother wasted, man. Get wasted with your brother wasted, man. Yo, my guy, T Nipple. Tyree either need to ball out or switch from 9 to 78. I feel that. Look, we're going to bring this down until they bring somebody back in here. Salute to everybody in the chat. So, guys, look, I wanted to get into the Jacobe Meyers situation, right? Now, they say that the Raiders could possibly have a trade suitor out there for Jacobe Meyers. This is going to the first game of the season. He is our wide receiver number 1, right? And, he's been kind of asked about how he feels about what's going on with the Raiders, what went on with this whole trade request. Jacobe Meyers is entering the final year of his contract. He's still not signed an extension with this new regime. Pete Carroll and John Spytek, kind of have him valued around where I probably do. I don't know how much money they offered him. I'm not going to sit up there, but I can surmise how much they did. And he was asked recently about his future with the team, and he gave a concise and seemingly positive answer, but it's a little crazy to me. He kind of sounds a little nice nasty. They asked him about his future here, and he gave an answer as much as they want me here. That's really all I can say about that. Now, Meyers' words, could be perceived in a more ominous manner, right? Because, listen, man, the Raiders are not eager to move him. They don't have to move him. I don't think that, and we've kicked the tires on this school of thought for the longest, right? The Raiders really don't have to move Jacobe Meyers if they don't want to, because it doesn't behoove him not to play. It doesn't behoove him not to play. Him sitting out is no good for Jacobe Meyers. Him sitting out is no good for him. Now, a lot of people think that he can play the Devontae Adams game where he gets a phantom hamstring and stays out and he's not ready and all this and that. But Jacobe Meyers doesn't have the career and the cachet in the National Football League to play the same game that Devontae Adams did. Jacobe Meyers is really trying to, at this point, prove exactly who he is in this league. Hey, but guys, listen, pressure's back up. We got
what happened in Los Angeles and then getting picked up by the Raiders. How'd that kind of all play out for you? And were you confident that there was going to be a landing spot?
Yeah, I mean, I was confident there'd be a landing spot, but obviously it was a whirlwind. Nothing can really prepare you for that moment, just to kind of be sitting there wondering what's going to happen. But me and my team were confident, and obviously I'm super blessed to be here.
What did you?
Go ahead. No, you got it.
What's
salute to everybody,
you've been here for a few days, got on the field today. What have your impressions been of the Raiders and this defense?
Yeah, I think this team is just a really good cohesive
Brandon
unit.
Jackson, y'all.
We've got a lot of great leadership with Max here. Just really excited to learn from him and all the other guys. And
be very excited about this kid.
Competition's a huge thing here, which I love. So super excited to compete every day and keep earning some trust from the coaches.
Coach and John Spytek say kind of your role was. How did they define what they were going to have you do?
Yeah, I think just coming in, just being a good depth piece right now. But honestly, just every single day I'm trying to pick up on some new things. Obviously, it's a new scheme, new players. So just every day just trying to build confidence in them that they can put me on the field and I'll produce.
Salute.
Too much about this team before you arrived here, or you just kind of learned on the fly?
I'm a member too, guys.
Learn on the fly.
It's Brandon Jackson, everybody.
What are you most
Brandon
comfortable doing?
Jackson.
Hand in the ground, lining upright. What would you say you're most comfortable, or does it matter?
I think it just comes with doing it. I think I can get comfortable doing anything. Last year, obviously, was different for me being a 2-point guy, whereas in college, I was always 3 points. So I think finding some familiarity in that, again, is going to be huge in my game. The first 2 days, obviously, getting the rust off. But, no, I think it's going to be awesome just as I get more reps and accumulate the time on the field doing it. I think I'll find comfortability in it again.
What is it about having that versatility? Like, what was it that was so important to make you sure that you were a versatile guy like you are?
I think just being able to play in any scheme, finding new things to add to my toolbox, whether that be dropping back in the coverage or rushing the passer from different places on line of scrimmage, I think can all add to my versatility. But, as I've been here, just kind of getting back in the groove of things and playing just, 3 down, 4 down, like 4, both hands in the dirt, just getting back to doing that again has been, really fun out there, just finding my comfortability back in that again.
You mentioned learning a new scheme, just being here for about a week. How big has, the leadership in your linebacking room helped you kind of get up to speed here in Vegas?
Oh, it's been huge. I think just them telling me to play fast and, as time goes on, I'll get more comfortable with what I'm supposed to be doing. But I think the biggest thing they want to see is just playing with confidence. Obviously going in, it's going to be hard to learn any playbook in a week. So I know that's going to take some time, but in the first 2 days, I'm really pleased with how my progression has been. And I think just as the weeks go on, I'll be able to get really more comfortable out there.
You mentioned just like playing fast and kind of, it doesn't really matter what you do. You just want to do everything. What have been some of the things that have stuck out in Patrick Graham's defense so far?
Just the overall aggressiveness on the edge. I think it's been a little bit more simplified than where I was at in the past. So being able to kind of play more free and make plays, I think is going to be huge. And obviously when you have playmakers like Max Crosby, it's, you see what they could do on the field and you want to mimic that the best you can. Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yo, that was Brandon Jackson, everybody. I pick up from, brought him in from the Rams. The kid, let me tell you something, man. Look, that's a big hoss of a man right there. And I'm going to tell you something, man. I love what I just heard him say, right? Now, he spoke about how things are simplified for him, how he hasn't really gotten the scheme, right? There's some familiar things that he did in college. The familiarity is one of the things that I love. And the fact that he was able to adjust and play in a scheme that was not familiar to him shows his versatility. That's one of the hallmarks of this Pete Carroll, John Spytek consortium. Versatility, man. Versatility. So there's some of that depth that we're looking for. Listen, I love the fact that these presses are short and sweet, man. We don't need too much, man. Ain't no need to be lip wrestling and jaw jacking. We don't need all of that. High character guy like my guy. And listen, I will not read this name, and I'm going to tell you something, Schrader. If I see this name one more time, you will be unceremoniously effing blocked. I'm not putting you up on the screen. High character guys only goes as far as game day. That doesn't guarantee a playmaker, and that's a fact. That is a fact, bro. But the thing is that if you don't have high character, right, a lot of the times the difference between some of these guys that we see in college and the ones that don't quite make it is their character. Character matters, bro. Character matters. Don't just poo-poo that like it doesn't matter. Character matters. Now, Super Marcon is trying to bring up some crap. Yeah, versatility doesn't explain Stone foresight. You should have heard. Well, look, man. Listen. Look, I don't know what anybody else thinks about that move, but what I can tell you is that Stone foresight has not put anything on tape to be super proud of in this league. I'm not gonna go in here and kill the kid because, you know, Pete likes the guy. Pete likes him. I'm gonna defer to Pete. You know, his athletic profile is crazy. He's 6'8". You know what I'm saying? Big guy, right? He's a guy that they seem to trust, right? Now, I don't necessarily know why, but what I would tell you is this, right? When it's time to put him in, if he doesn't do his job, he won't be here. He's a backup. It is what it is. Hopefully he can still be developed. He's a few years into his career, so most of the time he is what he is. You know, Thayer Mumford to me was a little bit better of a player, right? But the thing is, listen, I'm gonna give Pete and these guys the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. I have no choice but to. So, listen, some of these guys that we brought in have been a little questionable just from the naked eye, right? Like the fact that the Raiders haven't really been in on Jabril Peppers is it's not concerning to me, but I'm a little confused, right? Because I would think that, you know, Jabril Peppers would be a guy that you know, with Patrick Graham, because I haven't seen the Raiders really go out there and go get some of Patrick Graham's former guys. You know, if I'm being honest, you know, everybody else has kind of had their bite at the apple with the people that they like, right? You know, Pete has brought in his guys. John Spytek has brought in his guys, right? Chip Kelly, they went out there and got some guys that Chip Kelly's familiar with. But they haven't really done that with Pat. They haven't really done that. And a lot of people, you know, and my guy Bo Rock is right on the same page. You took the words right out of my mouth, bro. Look, when you talk about this roster, bro, Rome wasn't built in a day. Now, I know there have been some success stories in the National Football League. There have been success stories where people have turned it around in one year, right? But the thing that the Raiders have to overcome is not just a couple of years of bad football. The Raiders have to overcome several bad organizations, several bad iterations of that. They've had to overcome Gruden, then they've had to overcome McDoucher, then they had to overcome AP, right? And some of the guys and the people that they had in here, and they're trying to really fix 4 different regimes' problems. 4 different regimes' problems. It's not going to be done overnight. But the thing is that, it is looking up from here, bro. It's looking up because it's 4-13, bro. To me, it's not hard to improve on that when you went out there and you located the quarterback. So let's look at all the things that are right. I don't even want to go back 2 decades. I can go back 2 decades and talk about all of the problems, right? I'm just gonna go back 5 years. We ain't going back no further than that, right? But when you start talking about everything that is going on with this organization, bro, it's a lot. It's a lot of things to overcome, right? And just from my perspective, right? I'm looking at the fact that we were the worst team in the league in rushing. We went out and got the best running back in the draft. Running back is one of the positions in the National Football League that really translate well, right? So let's cross that off. Last year, no Max Crosby for a lot of the season. He was hurt. No Malcolm Kuntz a lot of the year, right? That's not an issue now. The Christian Wilkins saga is over. That is not a thing for us right now. We have moved on. Adam Butler, that's not a thing. Adam Butler has been signed. He's been taken care of. We needed some depth. We got it. Tyree Wilson is a better player now, right? Tyree Wilson, can we all agree that Tyree Wilson is looking to be a better player? I think he's a better player. The linebacking core. They went out there and got a bunch of guys that have played at a high level in this league, a bunch of vets. So you've added more veterans to this roster, which is a great thing. That's nothing but right. Jamal Adams is going to be the steal of the offseason, right? So we can look at it from that prism. So let's go on over to the offensive side. You got Brock Bowers, who was looking like the pick of the litter at tight end in the entire league, right? Michael Mayers is in a great headspace right now. We have a real offensive coordinator now. We don't have Luke Getsy. We don't have Scott Turner and all these guys. We have a real head coach. So we improved. When you start looking at the main facets of a football team, right? We improved that quarterback exponentially. We improved our running game exponentially, right? And we improved at head coach exponentially. That right there, to me, those improvements right there adds another 3 to 4 wins right off the bat. Right off the bat. Right off the effing bat. Blas Romo. The secondary is the one spot that needs fixing. I feel confident in the offense, but the defense has to step up. This is the thing, right? And this is the reason why I am going to take a wait and see attitude, right? Sometimes you got to allow people that make the decisions, that are in the know, that are in the building. You got to allow these guys the latitude and the space to let them cook. You got to let them cook, bro. You got to let them cook. Look, I got to let Pete cook. Oh, my God. I got to let Pete Carroll cook, man. I have to. This is what he does. This is what Pete does, man. He takes young secondaries, develops them. That is his specialty. That is what he does. I'm going to let him cook, man. I'm going to let him cook, y'all. Look, you know it's crazy, man. You know, the fantasy draft is starting now. Wait, the fantasy draft is starting right now, y'all. I am going to try to log in to NFL Fantasy. I almost forgot. You guys know the old man. I am in here working right now, man. I am in here working right now, y'all. Not working, but I'm going to work as far as with this show, man. Yeah, I'm out here trying to keep y'all rocking and rolling, man. Love my audience, man. Love my audience, man. Shout out to y'all. Salute to y'all, man. Salute to y'all. We're gonna sign into NFL fantasy. I don't really remember my damn password from last year, man. Yo, I hope I don't have a number 1 pick this year, man. I hope I always hope I had a last pick, bro. I got to do forgot password. So I'm going to go to my email and pull this up. Let's get back to the show. Yes, right. Let's get back to the show, man. Now, that's the reason why I'm going to trust in Pete. Pete hasn't just done this once. He's done this a few times, bro. He's done this a few times with, having young guys ball out. Having young cats ball out. Tariq Woolen, all pro. Had one of his best seasons as a rookie. Now, with Porter, bro, the thing about Porter is this, man. I have to see him play within the framework of the defense with a bunch of starters around him. That's what I want to see, man. So listen, man, and the thing about it is the Patriots, the New England Patriots are no world beaters. They're no world beaters, man. They are no freaking world beaters, guys. No world beaters, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Get wasted with your brother. Wait, sorry, guys. I'm trying to get this fantasy draft going right. So my password is Goutmaster. Hey, Mike, man, you got Fat Pete. Don't be coming up in here with your crap. Yeah, man, but listen, what haven't we talked about today, guys? What have we not talked about? I think we squeezed all of the juice out of this damn live right now. I mean, that's what the F I'm thinking. You guys want to hang around and do the fantasy draft with me? Shout out to Big Mike Raider, man. Shout out to Big Mike Raider, man. This biscuit foot bastard is coming in here with his nonsense. I gotta wait for 5 minutes because I locked myself out of my my fantasy draft. So guys, look, I don't think that I think I'm gonna be listen, I hang around this damn show. That's right, man. You down to watch me draft hard? Yeah, you get the F up out of here with your crap. Pretty soon I'm gonna be signed in, guys. Right? So look, this is what we're gonna do, man. We're gonna keep breaking down the game, man. Now, look, Milton Williams is going to be a factor in this game. He's going to be a huge factor in this game. Now, let's hope that, when we start talking about this line, Colton Miller, I'm not worried about, right? I'm not worried about Colton Miller, but look, I do sometimes get worried about our young pup on the right side, man. Let's hope that, he's going to hold up the way he's been looking. I mean, listen, I haven't heard anything from that side of the line, man. I haven't heard anything from that side of the line. You guys get your questions in too, man. Get your questions in. I'm waiting to get into my my fantasy draft, man. No, hey, listen, I don't want to do the auto draft. There is no such thing as the grade dot game. Shout out to the flying wonderful Raider Deb in the place, man. Yo, Bodega wasted for that comment and only for that comment. To the gulags. The gulags you go. Anthony, gulags too. Anthony to the gulags. There may not be any world beaters, man, but I don't know if it's just because I'm a beat down Raider fan, but I have little to no coming in this week. We just don't seem to win our season openers. Yeah, no, that's a fact. But, bro, listen, what you got to do is you got to suspend that negativity, bro. You got to suspend that negativity, brother. Suspend that negativity, man. Yo, we got some guys at the helm here that know what the F they're doing, man. They know what the F they're doing. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get this fantasy draft going, y'all. This is my family league. I'm praying that nobody's watching this so they don't say that I cheated. Because we know that you guys are the best draft gurus going. I am locked out of my account for 5 minutes, it says. I don't know why. I'm trying to stall and buy some time for you guys. It's ridiculous, man. It's effing ridiculous, guy. I think I might just end the show, man. Shout out to Raider Deb, yo. I just boomered it. You get the F up out of here, Judge Joe Black. Yeah, that's right. It's solid. That's right. We beat the Ravens last year. Nobody thought we were going to beat them. Hey, Bam, you just auto draft. Just win, baby. What an element of surprise wasted. They don't know what we're doing. We don't know what they're doing, too. 2 words, Geno Smith. He is the reason we win games this year. Let's pray that Geno Smith is enough, right? Now, listen, when you talk about why this season is going to be better, I think you have to look on the other side of the football, right? We, as a fan base and as an organization, we kind of take 2 steps forward and 2 steps back a lot of the times, right? I'm very, very concerned about what we're going to get out of this defense, right? Because this defense is built on a whole lot of potential, right? Potentially, if these guys can get to the ceiling of their abilities, then we in the house then. We are in the house, we cooking with gas, right? If some of these older guys that we brought in could get to where they were in years past, we're cooking with gas. But there's a lot of question marks over there. There's a lot of question marks, if I'm being honest, right? So what we're going to need is a all-pro defensive player of the year kind of output from Max Crosby. This is what we're going to need. This is what we are going to need, man. He said, that's a dance move. 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. Yeah, man, get out of here, Ben Bad. Maybe back in your day. Maybe back in your day, there was a dance move. There ain't no dance move nowadays. You old coot. It's ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. Hey, guys, listen. My guy, Unc, I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you for reposting the stream, my dog. But listen, man, if we have a top 10 defense and the top 10 offense and a bend don't break defense, we may be able to sneak it to a wild card. Listen, this the thing, right? When you say bend don't break, right? You can't exist in the AFC West with a bend don't break defense. You can't, right? We have pretty much the best assortment of quarterbacks per capita in the entire league, man. You have the dean of quarterbacks in the National Football League in Patrick Mahomes. You have the best coach in this league in Andy Reid, right? You have a guy like Sean Payton with the Denver Broncos who has some jewelry, who has been one of the best play callers around for a long, long time. You got young Bo Nix, who is looking like he is the answer there in Denver. Now, we got to see where Bo Nix is. Now, Bo Nix is the guy that really, really is going to be what really decides a lot of what happens in this division. How good Bo Nix is able to play. Is he able to be a consistent week in and week out starting quarterback? Now, last year he looked the part. Now, Bo Nix is a guy when he was in college. I had a lot of I was high on Bo Nix, right? A lot of people would go back to his Auburn days. I didn't, right? And I love the fact that he took a lot of snaps in college, and that's one of the key things that the Raiders did with our drafting profile this year. A lot of the guys that the Raiders took played a lot of snaps. They played a lot of snaps because when you draft these guys, that is a great draft hack for people, right? In today's NFL, you're not at the liberty to keep as many veterans and high-priced guys around as you used to be pre-free agency, right? So when you bring in a lot of these rookies, the hack has been with a lot of these National Football League teams to get as many picks as they can and draft not just 7 guys, draft 9, 10 to 11 young players, right? And you bring these guys in that in college played a lot. you know, with Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant and a lot of these guys that they brought in, Ashton Genty, played a whole hell of a lot. A lot of these young guys that we have played a lot of snaps. And that is the one thing with Bo Nix that I liked when he was in college. He was in college. He was a 6-year guy, COVID year guy. He played a lot. So we got to see how Bo Nix plays. Now, when you talk about the Broncos and you talk about that Denver Bronco defense, that Denver Bronco defense is for real. So that is going to be the delineation of, because I like, and here's a hot take from me, right? We haven't seen a snap to first, but I think this is the year that the Kansas City Chiefs struggle a little bit. They're going into a situation where, from a wide receiver perspective, their wide receiver number one is going to miss a big part of the season, right? You know, Chris Jones is always going to be Chris Jones, right? But they have a lot of guys on that defense, man, that just got paid, right? And you got a lot of guys that have been on that offense that they drafted that played well. But I think that there is a bit of a blueprint on how to beat the Kansas City Chiefs out there. It's real. It is something that when you talk about the Raiders, right? The Raiders actually kind of gave the league the blueprint on how to beat the Chiefs, right? And if it's looking the way it's looking to me, I don't think the Chiefs are going to continue to get the kind of love that they got last year. That was probably the freaking worst 14-3, whatever they 14-3 last year. That's the worst 14-3 team I've ever seen in my life. That was a team that got bailed out on a week in and week out basis. Week in and week out. They got bailed out every freaking week. I don't think that is going to happen as much, because you heard a lot of people in the media, you heard a lot of people kind of looking at the league with a John Desai. They were looking at the league in a situation where, yo, what are we doing here? Right? When you got a situation where you got DraftKings and FanDuel as one of the number one sponsors of the league, it makes you look at the league with a John Desai. It makes you look at the league like, is this real? What is this, professional wrestling here? So I don't think the Chiefs are going to get the whistles that they have gotten, right? Also, the division has gotten better around the Chiefs. We've gotten better. The Broncos have definitely gotten better, right? And the Chargers have gotten better. And they have better coaching. You don't have the Brandon Staley stimulus pack for the rest of the division anymore. Right? So they were 15-2. That's the worst 15-2 team I've ever seen in my life. They got bailed out. They even got bailed out against us. And listen, I know Skylar Milster, this is some Raider PTSD, bro. He said, I'm not trying to be negative, man. It's just every time I get excited, bad shit happens. That's why I'm here for my Raiders therapy. Thanks, Nation. And I get it, bro. We all got Raider PTSD, bro. We all got Raider PTSD. A lot of us do. Salute to the over 600 in the room. But we all got Raider PTSD, bro. But you got to let it go, bro. You got to let it go. And look, I can't tell you how to Raider, bro. I can't tell nobody how to Raider. The only thing I can do is just give you some facts. The fact remains is this. We got a better quarterback than we had in a month of Sundays, right? The running game, just from a personnel standpoint, has improved. You have a guy that is looking to be, the pick of the litter at running back. We went out and then got Raheem Mostert. He's a guy who's been super productive in his league. He led the league in rushing touchdowns a few years ago. Zamir White is looking like he's having a resurrection to his career as well. Right? So just from that prism, the running game's better. Coaching, it's no question that the coaching has gotten better here. There just is no question. No question, bro. The coaching has gotten better 100%. And do you know why? Because we have a guy that is a future Hall of Famer at head coach now. This is what we have. We're not imagining that. We don't have a guy like Antonio Pierce who, listen, love Antonio Pierce, man. Love Antonio Pierce. But Antonio Pierce is a guy that was trying to figure it out on the fly. And look, me being the Raider fan that I am, I don't have time to allow my coach to figure it out on the fly, man. I'm serious, man. So those mock drafts, you know what gives me Raider PTSD? Putting you back in the gulag for the rest of the damn episode, you effing bum. You don't come in here with your crap talking to me like that.
Shut your lame ass up, nigga.
Shut your ass up. Bodega wasted. Get the F up out of here. He said, I thrive in the gulags. Yeah, it's an abusive. Look, listen. It's an abusive relationship the Raiders have with our fan base, yo. I know. Leaky T, what it is, man. Leaky T, what it is, man. But guys, yeah, we on auto draft. I can't get into my damn my NFL thing. We on auto draft. I'll post it in my community link what my roster looks like, guys. And we gonna keep it all the way pimping there, man. I'm not gonna mess around with this, y'all. I think it's almost time to put the train back in the train tracks, right? We over an hour and almost hour and 15 minutes. We've been rocking and rolling, man. Yeah, Solly Bitch, that's my favorite one. Yo, thank you, CGR. I think it's about that time, man. What y'all think, man? But guys, listen, I'm being honest with you. You don't have to be overly optimistic. You don't got to be overly optimistic. Just look at the facts. If you've been a Raider fan a long time, look at the facts. Look at the roster. Look at the improvement in the front office. Look at the improvement from a coaching perspective. Are there some things that I'm kind of like, man, I wish they would have went out there and done this or that? Yeah, but guess what? It's never going to be 100% of what you want. But for the most part, when you look at this, when you look at what you saw all season, right? Yo, the Max Crosby deal is looking better and better every day. We got Max Crosby for a veritable steal. Dante Thornton, phenomenal draft pick. Already, bro. It's going to pay big dividends. It's going to feed families. Ashton Genty, going to feed families. We got some depth, and we got some young developmental guys behind our starters. They shored up the offensive line by signing Colton Miller. DJ Glaze is looking the part as a starting right tackle. Yo, Dylan Parham put on some weight. He is much improved. Jack Besh is a guy that is going to be, he is going to pay dividends for us. The Raiders are being smart and frugal with their money by not throwing the kitchen sink at Jacobe Meyers, right? They're being smart. They're playing it smart. Listen, I hate the fact that Jacobe Meyers is on the last year of his deal, but if we're being honest, Jacobe Meyers' contract status lines up with his play. He played well for us 1 year, right? So he's going to have to show the Raiders in this year that he's still that guy. And guess what, man? If I guarantee you this, if Jacobe Meyers comes out and cooks in the first 3 to 4 weeks of this season, and he's got 130 yards and a touchdown or two, the Raiders are going to go to the bargaining table and they're going to give him something commiserate to what he's asking for. 100%. There's been a lot of negativity, and I can't fault you guys for that. I can't fault you that. Yo, they got to earn your optimism. The Raiders got to earn your optimism. They got to earn my optimism. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to come in here and crap all over guys that have done nothing but almost everything that I thought they should have done from the day that they got here. I am not going to come in here and I'm not going to try to destroy this team, before we've even played a snap. I'm not going to do it. Every free agent that's out there, they link to the Raiders and we want them and we think we know better, but maybe they just don't fit. Maybe they just don't fit. Shout out to my guy, Pessimistic Frank, man. My guy, CGR. Appreciate the content. We appreciate you, my dog. My guy, Pessimistic Frank. Genty, 2,000 yards, 20 tuds. Bauer's crazy. The D sucks. That's what she said, Pessimistic Frank. That is what she said. Oh, my God. Where the hell are my drums? But look, man. Guys. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Look at what's good that's happened. Look at everything that's good. Write yourself out a list of pros and cons And that's how you got a Raider this year. Go into it with guarded optimism, y'all. Guarded optimism. Stick to the facts. Stick to the facts. Raider Dev, I never go into the season negative. I always have faith, but not always surprised when they end up losing hella games. And I get it. But stick to the facts, man. Stick to the facts. Listen, guys. Let's hope that some of these moves turns into dubs. And if we make the playoffs, or if we're, you know what I'm saying, 9-8, that's a win for us. That is a win for us. You guys, listen, I love every single one of you guys. Have a great freaking night. Listen, we're going to be cooking all season, man. All season, man. All season, yo. Salute to everybody in the chat. Love every single one of you guys, man. Listen, this season is going to be a lot better than you think, man. It is. I hate being that guy to be the hopium guy, man. I hate being that guy to be the hopium guy. But I am going to be that guy this year, y'all. We pulling the train to the train station, y'all. Y'all have a good effing night. See you guys tomorrow, man. Peace.